New York Giants fans, I've heard a lot of talk about whether or not the New York Giants have enough in this wide receiver room in order to make this team as competitive as I believe it can be this year. I've even said that I thought that they should get a wide receiver in the draft, which they didn't. Now they've gone out and they've signed a lot of very interesting wide receivers in the undrafted free agent market, getting ready for this rookie minicamp. But how many of those guys are going to stick? And even the ones that stick and make it to the 90-man roster, how many of them will actually be effective and possibly be a part of this wide receiving core when we get to week one? I do, however, think that a lot of people aren't understanding that these wide receivers, every single one of them, have not had the opportunity to reach their ceiling because of what's been happening at the quarterback position. That means with new quarterbacks in play, faster processing, people who have a little bit more chutzpah to throw the ball down the field, we could see every single receiver on this team who was with the team last year unlock a brand new level and therefore develop a new ceiling for their abilities. I'm here to talk about it. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons, New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Definitely go over there, check it out, see what we got going on. You're not going to want to miss it. It's the summertime, or it's getting to the summertime, and we're almost to rookie mini camp this weekend. I will be in the house, so you'll be getting maybe even some little video footage from your boy this time next week or this weekend while I'm in New York, New Jersey, getting ready for that. Also, I want to remind you guys that all you have to do is hit the subscribe button, and that hitting that subscribe button doesn't cost you anything. You're not paying for it, right? It's all free, but it is your way to say, hey, we appreciate everything you do, Coach Gene, and we want to show our appreciation by following. If you don't like what I say, but you at least think that what I'm saying is genuine and it comes from me, then you probably should give us a subscribe, right? If you like what I say, well, then clear, right? If you think that I am out here clickbaiting or race baiting or any other stuff that I've been accused of at times, then don't hit the subscribe. But then I would also wonder, like, why are you listening if you think that's what I'm doing? I think that anyone who has listened to me knows that I have genuine thoughts, and I'm going to, share those. And those thoughts don't always follow the populace. Because why do you need another podcast to tell you the same thing that all of the other podcasts tell you? You might as well just go to the Seminal Work podcast, only ever patronize that one, leave all the rest alone, and kind of like clear up your day a little bit. But because you come to A Giant Issue to hear real issues that I have, they're going to be contradicting to some other people's issues, and that's okay. I just ask that we do it respectfully, as always. I've heard people talking about this wide receiving core as if, like, this wide receiving core doesn't have anywhere else to go, as if we've seen the best days. I just want to lay out for you guys, like, what this wide receiving core looks like and why I believe that it has so many more layers to go, like so many more levels to achieve before we're at the pinnacle of what I believe this wide receiving core can do, right? So I'm just going to break it down person by person and go with it that way, right? Number one is Malik Nabers, right? So for whatever you want to think about Malik Nabers and his ability, I think we are all in agreement that Malik Nabers is the quintessential wide receiver one, that he is the legit goods, right? But even in there, he's not at the pinnacle of what he did, right? I actually think that he could put up 1,200 yards without having to get 109 receptions, right? I think that his 64.1% catch percentage is not the greatest that it can be for him. He had some concentration issues last year where he dropped the ball. Guess what? That's not abnormal for rookies, especially rookies that are coming into positions where they are expected to be the man right now. Like, never forget, right? When Jamar Chase went to the Bengals, he went to the Bengals to be the man, but he went to the Bengals while the Bengals had two other legitimate wide receivers who had already established themselves, right? He just came in and proved that he was the alpha. That's all. But he had two other guys who had existed and it played really well and had proven that they could be elite level wide receivers. Maybe not the most elite, but definitely elite. One of them just got paid like he was a wide receiver one, even though he's a wide receiver two for the team. The other one left to go chase the money somewhere else. So, like, we see, right? We see that wide receiving core allowed a guy like Jamar Chase to come in and not have all of the burden put on him. That wasn't the case for Malik Nabers. Never forget that Malik Nabers only started 13 games as a rookie. Don't forget that Malik Nabers only played in 15 games as a rookie. He missed 2. So his 1,200 yards and 109 receptions and 170 targets could easily have been 190 targets, right? It could have easily been another 12 receptions, 13 receptions based off his catch percentage. It could have easily been another 180 to 200 yards. So now we're talking about 121 receptions for possibly 1,400 yards. So there is another level for him to go, because I believe that his 11.1 yards per reception is not his highest level. I believe that when he starts to get those passes where he's allowed to turn and make things happen, kind of similar to what he did at the end of last year, right? When he gets those receptions that allow him to turn and make things happen after the catch, that yards per reception is going to explode. It's going to go far beyond what we've seen so far. And you could see him have a regression in his receptions and in his targets and have way more yards. We also haven't seen him get into the end zone like we know he has the capability of getting into the end zone. Why? Because he hasn't had the opportunity to. Why? Because the offense overall wasn't that great. So as the offense gets better and he gets better quarterback play, right? He gets balls being thrown on time so he can catch them, turn, diagnose what the defense is doing, make a move and go, right? When he can be on it like this, where he can catch the ball in stride while running and turn on the after boosters and run. When he can get the ball thrown to him on a deep pass where he catches it, he never has to break stride and he can keep going. That's going to make his yards per completion average go way up. We haven't seen the ceiling of Nabers. He's only 21 years old. He's only 21 years old. He's got so much more in front of him. That's a scary proposition. the wide receiver 2 on this team, I know nobody wants to say it, right? Like nobody wants to admit nobody wants to admit the truth. How about that? Nobody wants to admit the truth. Nobody wants to say that last year, Wandale Robinson as the number 2 wide receiver was not the move. Darius Slayton should have been a number 2 receiver. And you know who actually confirmed that? The New York Giants did. It was the New York Giants that confirmed that Darius Slayton should be the number 2 wide receiver on this team. You know why? It's because they signed him to another deal. Right? I'll give you an alternate example. I thought the Giants should bring back Azeez Ojulari. Clearly, the Giants did not think that Azeez Ojulari was worth keeping as the number 3 edge rusher. They thought we need to get better than him in the draft, and we're going to go this way. I ask you, who would they have gotten in the draft that would have been better than a Darius Slayton right now? Nobody. Therefore, Darius Slayton is the wide receiver number 2. And he should be. Even after last year where he kind of got frozen out of the offense, he should be. This is the interesting part, right? Darius Slayton in 2024 had his lowest catch percentage of his career. I'm sorry, the lowest catch percentage he's had since 2021, that's where he only played a few games. He was hampered by injury. He caught the ball at a 44% clip. Last year it was 54.9%. After back-to-back years of 64 and 63% as a catch percentage. Now, I know what y'all are saying. Well, that ain't the greatest. He could be better than that. Listen, he is what he is. And when you get a lot of deep balls thrown to you, your catch percentage is going to be down. But here's what never left. Here's what still is. Last year, his yards per reception, 14.7 yards per reception. That meant that his 39 catches, second lowest of his career, right? Only 2024 was worse. Those 39 catches resulted in 573 yards. Meaning, if he had received the targets, right, at 54.9%, right? We can do math because this is always the fun thing to do, right? At 54.9%, we can understand why Darius Slayton had the season he had this year, but we can also understand what would have happened if he would have received Wandale Robinson's targets, right? Because he caught 14.7 yards per reception. And his percentage was 54.9% on his catch percentage. So if we look at Wandale Robinson's receptions, he had 93 receptions on 140 targets. That's 66%, by the way. That's the lowest of his career. But it's also, he never had that many targets before. So you got to give him a little bit of grace there. But let's take those 140 targets and put it in Darius Slayton's hands, right? Let's put those 140 targets in Darius Slayton's hands and, give him the 54%. He's catching 75 passes, right? Those 75 passes that he catches at 14.7 or whatever yards per reception is going to net him 1,100 yards. You want to know what those 140 targets gave Wandale Robinson? 699 yards. Wandale Robinson had 93 receptions for 699 yards. That's 7.5 yards per reception. Meanwhile, Darius Slayton, the guy that people wanted to get rid of, who said his time here is done, had 573 yards on 39 receptions. On 39 receptions, he almost had as many yards as Wandale Robinson. That's why he's back. Hey, this guy has an ability to eat up massive amounts of yards, and we don't have to target him as much, right? We don't have to target him as much. We don't have to allow him to get 140 targets, because if we gave him 100 targets and he caught 50 of those 100 targets, you know what he's going to do? He's going to do what he's always done. 700 plus yards, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns. He's going to be a legitimate deep threat. That's a number 2 wide receiver. And if we target him like we targeted Wandale Robinson, he could have 1,000-yard reception. 1,000-yard on receiving yards year, which he's never had. You want to know why? Because he's never had more than 96 targets. And the year he had 96 targets, his second year in the league, that year that he had 96 targets was one of his worst catch percentages of his career. 52.1%. I could see him going back to the 60% next year with a more accurate quarterback who knows how to throw with better timing, who can throw it out there and let him go get it on the deep ball, whether you're talking about moonball Russell Wilson or you're talking about dead shot Jameis Winston. Hell, even Jackson Dart, not afraid to throw it out there and has an arm to be able to do so. Has some zip on it. I saw it at the combine. It was live. His arm and Milroe's arm were the only 2 arms that were live. Tyler Shuck, his arm was not great. I don't know what all of the fascination is with Tyler Shuck. His arm wasn't that great, at least not live. When I watched it, like there was a different jump that came off Dart's hand. There was a different jump that came off Milroe's hand, even though Milroe had some accuracy issues, right? So, like with those 3 guys in the fold, Darius Slayton as your number 2, who's the deep ball guy, can have a resurgence. Could even be better than what we've seen of him at his best. His best season overall was his his rookie year. I don't know why I keep saying freshman year, but it was his rookie year, because in his rookie year, he had 8 touchdowns. I don't need to see him get in the end zone 8 times. I need to see the 50+ receptions for 700+ yards. And if you give him 60 receptions, then add another 100+ on there. If you give him 70 receptions, if he gets 70 receptions, he's going to have a 1,000-yard season. You can stamp it. I guarantee it. If you give him 70 receptions, not even a 90-something that Wandale Robinson had, but if you give him 70 receptions, he's going to have 1,000 yards. Because that's how effective he is, right? That's how much ground he chews up. Now, the third dude right now is Wandale Robinson. And I'll say this about Wandale Robinson. I liked him better his second year in the league. Why? Because in the second year of the league, they gave him like enough targets. They gave him enough targets, 78 targets. He caught 60 of those passes, 76.9% completion percentage, or catch percentage, excuse me. And in those 60 receptions, he had 525 yards. Nothing special, because he's never been a guy who was a double-digit per reception kind of dude. He's a chain mover. He's a gadget guy. He's a break one big for you, right? He did that. And then on top of that, as a running back, right, as a runner of the ball, had nine attempts for 87 yards. Right? 9 attempts for 87 yards. That was runs out of the backfield. Yeah, we'll take that. Only double that number. Give him somewhere around 15 to 16 to 18 attempts for 100 and plus something yards. Use him how he should be used. Screen game, gadget runs. Yeah, throw it to him across the middle on shallow crossers and quick outs. Do all of that. But get back to the usage of him in that manner. Cut those targets in half back to what it was in his second year, right? 70 to 80 targets. And then take those other 70 targets that you now have, give some of them to Darius Slayton. You're going to have a much more effective Wandale, much healthier Wandale Robinson, the less you use him, right? The less you use him, the better he's going to be because of it. And now you take those other targets, right? Because Wandale Robinson is your gadget guy. He's your do-everything guy. And this year is big. This year is big because you got to figure out if you want him around, right? He's going into a lame duck year. This is his 4th year. You got to figure out if you want him around, right? I think if he returns to 2023 status, you sign him to a modest little thing. And his 2023 status could even be elevated because he can be more effective because you got to worry about the outside elements more. And the quarterback is more deadly, more accurate. The running game's more established. So he could have an elevation up. And finally, because I don't have to keep going into we just go 4 deep, right? We just go 4 deep. You've got Nabers, you've got Slayton, you've got Robinson, and who else? You've got Jalin Hyatt, whom everybody has been waiting for forever, it seems, to break out, right? Everybody's been waiting for him to reach his potential. I think it was Carl Banks who said that he thought Jalin Hyatt was the most natural football catcher of the football. I don't know how he said it, and I don't want to. I don't know how to qualify it because it doesn't. I don't agree with it, but I'm willing to hear it. I don't think he's a natural catcher of the football, but I do think he's extremely talented, right? Extremely talented. And so for him to go in 2023 and get 40 targets, right? Catch 23 passes for 373 yards, 16.2 yards per reception. And then for him to essentially be forgotten in 2024 is ridiculous. Get him those 40, 50. I'd love to see him get 60 targets. I guarantee you get him 60 targets. He's going to bring you back, most likely, 35, right? 35 receptions. 35, maybe 40 receptions. He'll be in the double digits, 15, 14, 15, 16. The return on investment, fantastic. And now you have the idea of, okay, with these 4 wide receivers, who's going to be able to run with all 4 of these guys? Jalin Hyatt's he's track fast. Slayton is track fast. Nabers, I don't know if he's track fast, but he's fast, right? Wandale, more quick than fast, but not slow. Who's sticking with all of these guys? How do you take care of all of them at once? You're going to leave somebody open. And we got to get that out of Jalin Hyatt. But now that you have quarterbacks who are willing to, like, put the ball where he is the most effective, right down the field where he doesn't have to break stride. He can just catch it and go. On the move where he can just catch it and go. Right? You've got quarterbacks who can do that now. When people talk about, oh, this offense really needs to step up, and I've done it as well, so I'm not excluding me from this. I've said this offense needs to step up. But when they say that, and when I say that, I wonder if people understand, oh, better quarterback play changes a lot. And theoretically, the Giants should have better quarterback play. Hell, listen, last year was not a great year for Russell Wilson. It was still better than what the Giants was getting. Last year, when Jameis Winston went in the game, right? When he got in the game, it was touchdowns. It was touchdowns, right? The defense didn't do their job. So because the defense didn't do their job, he had to keep going out there and throwing and throwing and throwing. And eventually he made mistakes, but he still kept throwing touchdowns. Make no mistake about that. He's going to put the ball in the end zone. Look at his record. Look at his resume. He puts the ball in the end zone. Right? So, like, having these two guys now to control the offense is going to be better. Adding Evan Neal to the interior of the offensive line is going to make you a better run blocking team, which is going to open holes for Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo. And now all of a sudden, what? Now that opens up everything else. The run game facilitates the pass, that facilitates the run, that facilitates everybody getting better because the rising tide raises all boats. I expect I expect more efficient production from Malik Nabers. I expect more efficient production from Wandale Robinson. I expect more opportunities for Darius Slayton and for Jalin Hyatt. And because all of those guys are going to get that bump, because all of them are going to get that opportunity, they're all going to be better for it. Which means that's going to be better for business. That's something people should be excited about. This wide receiving core will be working with the best wide receivers, the best quarterbacks that they've had a chance to work with in their NFL career. Right? All Slayton's known as DJ, a little Tommy DeVito, a little Tyrod Taylor, but all he's known is Daniel Jones. All of these other guys have known is Daniel Jones and then the parade of other misfit toy quarterbacks that they had in there over that time. But none of them have ever had a former number 1 overall draft pick who had all of the measurables, all of the physical traits that everybody says you have to have in order to be a good NFL quarterback. And then they haven't had a guy who is a former Super Bowl champion, who was one of the most athletic, accurate passers in the game for an extended amount of years. They've never had this level of quarterback play, and now they do. So it'll be exciting to see what they're able to do with it. I think it's going to be up for all of them. I'm really holding out hope that whatever's been up with Jalin Hyatt has been because of who's been throwing on the ball and not just because this team doesn't believe in him. Right? That's what I've been hoping. We'll see if it comes. I've been thinking that Darius Slayton is really the number 2, and the reason that they re-signed him is because they realized that they used him wrong. I hope I'm right. I want to see them get back to using Wandale Robinson as the ultimate Swiss Army knife. I hope I'm right. I want one of these two tight ends to emerge as a consistent weapon, as a blocker, and as a pass receiver. I hope I'm right. I know that the offensive line is going to be better. Because, again, I'm higher on Evan Neal than all you are. And so now him going to guard, I feel great about it. I feel great about it. I also feel great about the pieces that they added. Right? Mimbo out there, let's get it popping. All signs point upward from here. And everybody should be ready to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have today. New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure you go and check that out. Make sure you also come over. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers before 5,000 subscribers before we get to week 1. 5,000. That's the goal. Help me help you. Right? The more you subscribe, the more we see those numbers, the more it encourages us to continue to give you this good word, this good knowledge over here at the Giant Issue. Want to line up some guests. Hopefully we'll have some guests soon on as we get into the off season and everything's. Have some fun. Maybe talk about some stuff that's not like issues, but just fun in the world of Giants football and how we consume them, and really enjoy it from that way. And we'll see how you like that. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a Giant Issue.